Oh, I'm back running deer cameras now. So that's kind of what it'll show you. I'm on a ridge system. It's got a bunch of fingers off of it. I actually came up here last winter rifle hunting and I found this ridge. But I'd say this ridge is probably about a mile long. So I am on, it'd be the northeast side of it. And the ridge actually runs continuing down on the north. Darn deer flies are terrible. Northeast side of it. It actually runs down into a bunch of like finger splitting off, but then there's a bunch of like little sloughs with really nice bedding grass, and then kind of popple slashings mixed in. It's pretty thick, gnarly stuff. But on the middle of this ridge, it actually has a big, I would call it a big area of white mature oak, and the acorns are about to drop. So what I'm doing here is there's a nice trail coming up out of this, up on top of it, and it's kind of like a whole little intersection of game trails that are coming together here. So I'm gonna put one camera on this trail, especially since it's, I mean, you can see it right there, pretty defined. So animals are using this, and I would say primarily deer. I'm gonna follow this ridge down a little bit because I'm gonna see how it's kind of thick. I'm gonna kind of see if I can find a transition off where this game trail is, or where it leads to. Just a transition of growth, whether it be, maybe I might find that edge of that white oaks, but I actually plan on putting a cam down on the very far edge of it. So I'm gonna set up for success, and I always try to find a transition in the trees, the mature trees to the new trees, you know, especially this stuff where it's kind of thick. They can hide, they can slide through, they can go from bedding to feed to the acorns. Let's just say that's our feeding area. So that's what you guys want to look for. So I followed this trail up, and it got into some more mature popples, and basically the trail kind of just dispersed. I got on the top of the ridge flattened out, and it's probably about 100 yards wide. So I mean, there's a lot of room up here where they can meander around and forage and stuff. So I'm gonna go back down to this pinch point, and I'm gonna set up a camera there. And I mean, this is what I do to try to find mature deer on public land. That's all I primarily hunt in my home state is public land. Just besides maybe if I got a decent deer coming, you know, buck coming into my property, I'll hunt my property, but my property is not that big. So I am a public land hunter. I grew up hunting public land, so this is just kind of the keys that I look for. I'm probably 2 miles back in the woods right now from any major road. So for a lot of guys to come back here and hunt, very few far between. So and there's a lot of big rolling hills in here. So I mean, you're not gonna get, you know, you're gonna get guys like me that are willing to push deep, but you're not gonna get your average Joe out here hunting. So I'm gonna walk back down to this pinch point and I'll set up the camera. So I got a pretty defined trail here, and if you actually walk down here 10 yards, there's another pretty heavy used trail. This one's actually more than that one I was just walking on. So I'm gonna follow this one, and they do come together up top. So I'm gonna find that pinch point where they come together. I'm gonna put a camera on that spot. So I got this trail coming in here, and then I actually have this trail coming up off this ridge. But I'm probably gonna put a camera here, just because the northeast side of this point of this ridge it's pretty thick, gnarly. So basically they're using this path to roll over the top of it. So I got my camera set up. Now remember, this is a ridge, and I'm actually looking downhill. So unfortunately, I gotta have my camera really low. These two trails right here, and I'm kind of standing right on one. They're converging right here into this main trail. So what I'm doing is, if you can see from my camera angle, I should get a picture right there. I should get a picture right there. Hopefully, ideally. So that's the setup. And then another little trick, when you're looking downhill on your camera, is to take a stick, put it behind your camera, and it's going to drop it down to pick up a deer or a critter walking over there. All right, I rode my bike down on the far end of this ridge. Now I'm down below the ridge. I'm on the north side of it. There's a good trail right here coming up between these trees. You can't really see it. It's deceiving with the camera. You can see it here, and it goes up on top of this ridge. So I'd be a mile away on the southwest side of it, or west side of it. Let's just go with that. So I'm gonna walk up here, find kind of a cluster of where trails come together. I'm gonna put a camera. All right, I just hiked up that little hill, and this is what I remember from last year getting up here. Here's an old, really old trail, but the only animals that are using it are game animals. So back that way is my other camera. I'm going to walk to the edge of it and kind of see if it gets thick, what it does. But then I'm going to come back to this spot, because I just followed that trail up right up in here, and there's kind of like a whole fork system coming up out of that trail. So the biggest thing when you're hunting public land is to find a pinch point or a bunch of trails come together, and especially look at your topography of, you got a bunch of fingers coming up onto a ridge, you got bedding on one side, you got water on the other. On the top we got some oaks back in here, white oaks. This is obviously, and even kind of sporadically throughout. So when these acorns drop, they're going to be up here first, unless there's a better white oak grove around that I haven't found yet. So, but as far as I know right now, this is looking good. So here's this trail, and you can tell that they've just been pounding it. You kind of see I got like a draw right here. I got a draw, kind of a little finger going down. I walked up that far finger, and I have like a subtle finger, but this is actually steeper on the backside, and they're kind of angling up, coming up here. Walking over here, we got one game path coming up, and then we got the main one. And it's actually just going into, that's what it is, it's just thick back in there. So kind of what I'm hoping is, however they're moving through that, they're going to come right here, funnel, and if they choose to, they're going to go down that way, or vice versa. They're going to come up, and then I should get a good picture of what's around in the area. So when you're pre-scouting, these are the things that I look for. And these are the tips that I can, say that have worked definitely in the past. So I've actually moved into a totally new area of where I was hunting in this state forest. I did not have a good year last year over there. It was terrible. So, and I think a lot of it is just guys on top of other guys. And then there's just like a lot of unnecessary pressure. Guys sitting in their stands every freaking day of the week. You guys pay attention to the weather, pay attention to the pressure. If you have a cold front coming through, sit in your stand. If it's hot, if it's, Indian summer, they call it up here in the Northland, go fishing, go do something else. I mean, the likelihood of your target buck moving that day, especially before the sun goes down, is very minimal. So guys can argue, but I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to tell you guys what has helped me in the past on public land. So I got basically the trap set up, and one thing in Minnesota, you cannot bait and you cannot use scents, especially with the whole chronic wasting going on. So that's very important to figure out where the deer are moving and where the game trails are. So sit on those and water, feed, cover, bedding. You want that all in your area, and I have it. I have water down on that side. I have bedding straight north. Actually, I got bedding all around here too. And then throughout just this whole ridge system is forbs and white oaks and just stuff that they can eat. So that's what to look for when you're pre-scouting. We have 2 weeks till bow opener, and just actually harvested a bear last night. So hopefully I can harvest a nice mature buck. That's my goal this year, is to, in this area that I'm hunting, I can only hunt or shoot a buck. So there's big deer here. Granted, even it's public land, there's a lot of big deer here. So it's just a matter of setting up on the right place at the right time and being there when he moves through. And sometimes it takes being 2 miles back, I think I'm about almost 3 now back in here. So it's important. Take the time, scout, and that's what your success is going to be. If you do this, if you just take a day to scout, set up your cameras, the success rate is going to be a lot better. But ultimately, what it's going to end up to be is being placing your stand where the wind is going to be right, and ultimately up to you, the shooter. So practice. We have 2 weeks left. Practice, shoot your bow, and scout. Till next time, you guys, if you like this, like and subscribe to the Norseman channel. And if not, hopefully these tips just help you. And hopefully this fall is your fall, where you get your nice mature deer. Even if it's a mature doe, I don't care. Specifically for me, I've hunted since I was 11 years old, shot my first deer. So to me, I like to hold out for a nice mature buck. So hopefully these tips help you out and you get that deer this fall, you guys. All right, stay tuned for more, and I'll keep you updated on my season. Have a good one. Like and subscribe.